Comrades, I am Admiral Andre, and your eyes do not deceive you. It is indeed time again for Transport Fever, and for us to continue with the campaign, this time with the European one. So there'll be a lot of talking, of course. Our advisor, who is now somebody else, we're getting a new advisor, will of course just introduce us to the mission. So I'll just let him do the talking, and then as soon as we get into the game, we can look around and see what it's about. So, campaign and the European one.
The old continent is constantly yielding great new inventions. Be part of this rapid technological progress and found numerous thriving transport companies in Europe. The railroad is currently conquering all of Europe. Right in the middle is a young Alpine republic where a mighty mountain massif blocks the way to the sunny south. The rocky colossus can only be crossed with great difficulty. Time for a bold undertaking, crossing the Alps from north to south. A railroad tunnel through the Swiss Alps will make our young nation the most important route from the North Sea to the Mediterranean.
And this is quite interesting because Urban Games, the developers of Transport Fever, they are actually a Swiss company. So we are now, in a sense, going to the homeland of Transport Fever. So, always, as I say, take your time to look at the medals because they will guide you in terms of your milestones and deadlines. So, as you can see, this is probably the only time I've got all 5 medals, so that won't last, be assured of that. I'll try to get them all again, but as you know from my US playthrough, that's never really so much of a pressure. We just enjoy the game and try still, but never really managed to get all of them before, so this is the first time. So the first one, terrific tunnel. Make the Federal Council happy and complete the tunnel on time before 1885. So now, of course, we don't know when we start yet, but that's now the deadline that we've got. Contractual compliance, don't deviate too much from the negotiated terms and get by without additional funding. So this is one of those games where we are not really allowed to take out any further. It's not really a loan, it's just the money that they sort of advance you, but we're not allowed to do that. Sometimes we can, and then of course we do, but this time that's a no-no. Machinist, rely on the latest mining technology, so that will obviously be a specific mission within this first mission, in a sense, so we'll just have to keep a lookout for that. Humanitarian, don't beat down any workers. So yes, they're not thinking very highly of me right now, but I think this is very similar to something that we saw with the US first mission, where the workers were on strike and we had several options of dealing with them. So yes, obviously we should do the right thing and not beat them down. And the last one, Rockhound, find the legendary mountain crystal. Again, very similar to the first mission of the US campaign where we had to find a buried treasure. So, in a sense, really, the European and American campaigns are not, they don't build on each other. They are parallel. So you can really start with either of them if you like, because they will guide you very gently in the beginning and then obviously get harder as you advance. That's why also I got all 5 medals. So I'll just say restart here. I did just another trial run because I actually purchased Bandicam now to do my recordings, because the shadow play started giving real trouble if you've been following my free game, and there I would record an episode and it would just get lost or not really get recorded, even though it says recording saved. So yes, we'll try this way. I think I just did a test run here to see if it works, and indeed it does. So perhaps for me just the file sizes are simply too unmanageable. It's too big, so we'll try this way. Let's go. Restart, and here we are.
It is August in the year 1872, and the construction of the Gotthard Tunnel can begin. No idea why we of all people have been awarded this monster project. Could it be that we are the only Swiss company that applied? Or was our bid so ridiculously low that no competitor could match it? The fact is we have 8 years and a very tight budget to build the longest tunnel in the world. And we've never built a tunnel before. So, let's get started.
Oh, well, let's have a bit of faith in our skills. In America, we certainly managed to at least complete the campaign. We didn't get all the medals, of course, but we can do it. If you're not sure what to do, play the tutorial and so on. It's really just very introductory, so again, this assumes that you're pretty much new to the game. We've already looked at the medals, and we know that 1885 is our deadline, so we only have 13 years for this mission, which of course in game terms is not a long time at all. Anyway, I'll just press start and he'll tell us a bit more about the details.
3 railroad lines already cross the Alps, but once our bold project is complete, the Gotthard Railway will be the fastest, most direct connection between North and South. The hard niece of the Gotthard Massif towers before us. We have enough workers, ragged but strong Italians who have hired themselves out for a pittance. But we aren't going to dig our way through the mountain with our bare hands. We have to transport the necessary equipment to the construction site at the northern portal.
Ah yes, the poor Italians who are not only hiring themselves out for a pittance, but they are the ones that we're not supposed to beat down. So you can already see sort of a classist approach here. Obviously it befits the times of the 1800s, but anyway. So, deliver the first tools to the tunnel construction site. That's the first step in this journey. Build a truck station at the Altdorf Tools factory and a depot, of course, to buy the vehicles, and then finally set up a line between the 2 truck stations and deploy the horse-drawn carts on it. So I'm just going to close this and just have a look at the map. We obviously have to do that first and just familiarize ourselves. Obviously, I always recommend that people do that. Take your time, there's no rush. So this is technically the north of the map, Switzerland, and then of course we have the Alps, and we get Italy on the bottom here in the south. So there is Bellinzona, our final destination, and there's already a station in place there. If we have a close look here, we can see on the actual mountain, this area is blocked off for construction by these 2 red lines here. We are not going to be directly building the tunnel. This is going to happen on its own. Obviously we are building it, but we don't actually get involved there. We just have to meet all the requirements. Then we have 2 towns, which is actually very useful here in Switzerland. Obviously Altdorf is our headquarters and we have a station there in place already. But Lucerne here is another potential target, and you can see they actually built a railway line most of the way, and of course a station. So what they're really doing here is telling the player, this is an opportunity for you, don't miss it. So the first thing I think we should do is just make this connection. It's a very close one, so it really isn't any challenge. Let's just put up the contour lines to guide us a little bit. So it doesn't matter which platform I take here. Let's just take this one. We do get quite a bit of money, but again we have to not spend it all. So there we actually now get quite a lot of curves, but better than building another bridge here. And making the final connection should be fine. There we go. So that's at least another opportunity for us to make some money. Now we do have to keep in mind that Lucerne is a very small town, 75 people. And Altdorf is even smaller with only 65. So we won't get a lot of people on our transport service, but at least it will be something. So you can see it covers the center of town. I don't think there's really a need for an extra coach service at the moment. We can always look at that later on. In Altdorf, let's just see, it doesn't really cover too much of the town. So here we might actually benefit from some kind of a coach. So actually let's do that. I'm ignoring what they said now about the tools and just sort of laying my own groundwork here. But I always think it's a good idea to have a second source of income. So I'm just going to say let's put one there. Then the coach goes up to this area, and it doesn't help putting it there because it will only cover one side of the street, and this one already covers that. Alright, so it's just that. Very, very simple. So create one line and just go from there to there and up there. That's it. I'll just say Altdorf coach. Always good to just keep things in order. Then we have to buy the depot, obviously for this, but also for the tools. So let's find a nice place to put it. I always like to do that in the industrial areas, so we can see there's 2 of those. And we can just put it here. Let's chop down a part of this forest. Completely not environmentally conscious, but there we go. And then I'm just going to buy 2 stage coaches. We actually get the l'Obéissant at the moment for it's already 1872, so actually let's buy 1 of that. Let's get with the times and leave the old horse-drawn carriages in the past. Then this is the tools factory that they spoke of, so we have to just put a truck stop here, or coach stop at this time. A small one will do, we don't have a need for that much. Although there's the other thing now, you can see this thing is just going to be producing tools. It doesn't require any inputs, obviously, because it's a very easy mission. Otherwise you would have to bring steel and wood, so it's obviously very simplified. But that also means that we can send this to the towns as well and make even more money. So of course the tools are needed. Let's just have a look in the commercial area. So as long as we cover that with a normal stop, which this one basically covers the whole town, we can use it. And then another one here somewhere in Lucerne. So this is purely just for dropping off the tools, which of course you can do at a passenger stop. Let's put it there. I'm wondering, is it really necessary to put a stop here by the station? Maybe. Let's just do it for completeness. So I'll just put that very, very short. I mean, you have to be pretty lazy if you don't want to walk that short a distance. But there we are. Then I'm sure that line will be a money loser, but anyway. So I'll just buy another of these ones, these first steam buses, and let it run there. Then the destination drop-off area is already in place here at the tunnel construction site, so we just have to deliver tools here. You can see the actual Gotthard Tunnel construction site requires tools, and it will produce stone, which obviously they are digging out, and then we have to take that stone away to the dump site here in this, well, this would technically be the north, so right there. So we'll have to use the train line for that. Let's just create that line quickly. Just very simple. I'll just say Altdorf tools, or even just tunnel tools. And for that I'm wondering, how many of these wagons would we need? Quite a few actually. Let's say 10, more or less. We can adjust that number as we go. We have 2 choices, the old horse wagon or the newer horse cart, which I'm going to take obviously. It's just 1 more capacity, but still it's something. And it's a bit faster as well. So for this you can leave it on automatic if you like, but it might actually, no, I don't think it will end up bringing stone back, because there's no pickup from the factory there. So we can just leave it on automatic. Although I do always like to specify exactly what I want them to take. So that is now 8, 9, 10. Tunnel tools, there we go. And then also for the towns, I'm going to buy just a few. We don't need that many. You can see we only need 19. That's really not a lot. And since each of these wagons already take 5, you can see in a year's time, that will certainly be more than enough. So I'll just say, let's say 5 for Altdorf. Obviously I still have to create that line, so let me just click new line. And close that there to the center of town. And we can just, obviously they'll start running on that, or do they? No, they don't. We just have to set them still. Altdorf tools, there we go. And then just before we get started, let's create another line for Lucerne. And here I'm going to buy another 10 of these wagons just because it's a bit further away. Since we do have this tool factory that produces tools for free essentially, we have to use it. And I can just leave it again on automatic. Just about like that. There we are. So we've spent almost the better part of $1 million there, but we still want to buy a very short train service to run between Luzerne and Altdorf. Although we can see here the track is not doubled. That can be a little bit of a problem if we have to start running the stone or the rubble from the dig site to the dump site. So I think let's just preempt that and double the line. Then each of those will have a dedicated line. Since this is not really very expensive. There we go. This will also allow us, since we already have a train depot down here, to buy the passenger service there and just connect it to that line. So, speaking of line, let's just create that. Altdorf to Luzerne. And this one will have to be very cheap, or at least very minimalistic. We don't really have a lot of choices, only the D13 or the Borsig. Let's see, what's the speed difference? 40. I think we have to go cheaper with the passenger one, because it's not going to bring us a lot of money. So I'll just buy the cheapest one that we have. And let's see, there's 6 passengers or 8. I'm very tempted to actually get the D13 car. Just because again the running costs are less and obviously we won't be dealing with that many passengers. I'll buy 2 of them to start off with. If we ever get to the situation where we have more than 12 passengers, of course we can just buy more. So let's let it run now for the first time. There we go. So the setup is quite a bit of planning and so on, but that's okay, you know, it's a part of the enjoyment. So now of course we have to wait for all these vehicles to get to their destinations. Let's just turn off the costs there. Very charming little alpine village here. I wonder where Urban Games is actually based, where in Switzerland. I won't be surprised if it's one of these two, although again I don't know. Actually it's very easy to look up. So there goes our entire fleet of vehicles, and we'll see that the tools are already waiting. Excellent. And they want to go to Luzerne already. So that's the thing with these campaign missions. You have to be on the lookout for opportunities, you know, to make extra money. There's our train service. I can almost say this is an experimental service between these two towns, just to see if it's viable. Excellent. Alright, so now it'll just take a little bit of time, so I can just speed it up to the maximum. The tools are just pouring out. So yes, they're being very generous with us by giving this, you know, for free essentially, and don't requiring any input. Let's follow one of them up the mountain. At this point they just say deliver tools, so we don't have a specific quota. They just want to see if we're able to actually manage something so simple. It's interesting the rims on this wagon, but anyway, very futuristic. Then of course we still have to create the train line here. We might actually start with that, but let's just wait until the first one drops off some tools.
Amazing how much rubble builds up. It is impossible to haul all of that away with horse-drawn carts. We need a proper rail line so that we can remove the gigantic amounts of excavated material from the construction site.
Which makes sense since we're building a train line anyway, so we might as well use it as we're building it. Connect Altdorf South and Altdorf North, close the gap, which we've seen already. Display the contour lines, so yes, that's just again if you don't know about that at this stage, if you're very new to the game. And yes, build it without more tunnels and bridges because that will certainly cost you a lot. If you lay the tracks in small steps, they adapt to the terrain better. Yes, so that's also good advice. Let's just see, what do they ask for here?
High up in the mountains, so it has been said here since time immemorial, there is a mountain crystal of unimaginable beauty. An old alpine goatherd supposedly knows the whole tale.
I love these small little missions that they give you. It adds so much character to these scenarios. So follow the clue to Altdorf and click on the question mark to find out more. We can click up here if we want to know where that is, but I mean that's very simple. We just have to go there.
The old man says that he only knows the crystal from tales and legends, but his young granddaughter often wanders high up into the mountains with her goats. The girl scrambles through the rocks like a mountain goat. You can hardly keep up with her.
Follow the clue and click on the question mark, so we just have to see where is she. Ah, there we go.
So, it's supposed to be around here somewhere. The girl shouted to us that a peculiar rock formation points toward the legendary mountain crystal before she nimbly climbed away.
Turn over every stone in the rock formation and you will find the mountain crystal. So, of course we don't have to do this. This is just one of those secondary missions, but there's a medal at stake here. Now, where could this be? A rock formation. Let's see, there are so many of them. But this one looks peculiar, certainly. There's several rocks piled up here, and obviously she was on the way here anyway, so this is part of her stomping grounds with her goats. So let's dig here and see what happens. We just find the tool, so we want the lowering one, and we can just make this a bit smaller. You just use the N and M keys. Or am I doing the right thing now? Am I supposed to delete them? That's also possible.
What a rare and wonderful specimen. The crystal glows with an unusual energy.
So I've left a crater in the mountain, but anyway, we were digging there. So this can be our, how shall we say, this is a symbol of our company's prosperity, and we can refer to it in the future for motivation. So it's not worth anything. We don't get money from this, but it's just for the sake of it. So yeehaw. Our first medal. Yes, I think we better rehabilitate this mountainside. I don't like leaving this kind of a crater here. Let me just increase that. There we are. It looks much better. So the next step that we have, and hey, there's people waiting at Altdorf already. At least one person is willing to take the train service. But now let's just create the tracks. And obviously we can use the contour lines like they recommended. So we'll just curve it quite gently. And there you can also see what they mean about doing it in shorter sections. If you do it like this, it costs us a lot and it creates that kind of a upwelling. But if we do it in short sections, it creates, certainly it's a more steep climb, but it costs us a lot less. So something like that. There we go. And then go straight and curve a bit there. The trains are obviously not very fast in this era, so we don't have to worry about keeping the tracks at the maximum speed. And just make the final connection. Man and machine are doing good work. The first few meters are already done. It's hot as hell inside the mountain and the air is so thick you could cut it with a knife. I can see why the workers would get rowdy. Now all that rubble has to come out of the abyss, and fast. The investors are watching our progress with suspicion. And you know how the Swiss are with keeping up with time and with schedules, so we better stick to it. Deliver stone from the construction site to the stone mound. Buy a freight train in the Altdorf train depot that can transport stone. Create a line between the two freight stations and deploy a train, and then let it run. So let's create the line first. All the way down. So hopefully these two should now, yes, they should avoid each other there, just for simplicity's sake. And we'll just say rubble, just to get it, very simple. Then buy a train, and for this one I'm actually going to make it a bit longer, just because it will be cheaper to have a bit of a longer train instead of two separate ones, I think. And we certainly want a more powerful one for this, the tractive effort there for climbing up the hills, and the power, of course, for the weight that it must carry. Luckily for us, it will take stone downhill and then run back up empty, but of course we still want to make sure it has the power that it needs. Then we have to make sure this can carry stone. So let's see, 40 stone or a bit more. Let's make it 60. It's quite a long train for starting off with, but there we are. If it turns out that it can't carry the weight, then we can always add another locomotive to it and make it even longer perhaps. Just to make sure that it's still financially viable. There we are. So we can make this one a different color if we like. Why are you waiting? Oh, it's obviously stopping at the station. Something grey perhaps, since it's working with the stone. Not very inventive there, but anyway. Let's see, how are these other ones doing? Not carrying anything. That's strange. You see, this is the problem with leaving them on automatic. They can start doing funny things, but obviously as soon as they see there's stone available, or not stone, tools, then they'll start carrying that. Luckily the towns don't require any stone. They need construction materials, otherwise they would be carrying that all the way back. Another one wants to carry oil. This place better pick up the production pace here. I wonder if it can go past 100. Doesn't look like it. Oh well. Hey, some money from our passenger service here, even though there's just one person taking it back and forth. Power rating mediocre, but at least for this one we don't really need the power. And we just have to wait now for this train to arrive here, but some of the stone is already piling up, rubble. And this church, can't click on it. Certainly has a lovely view. So now the tunnel will just be constructed as we take rubble away, so we don't have to worry about laying the track there ourselves. We can already see where the destination will be. Of course, then we must just connect that to Bellinzona, which we could technically do already, but I'll just leave it for now. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We have to finish the tunnel first. I could tell this thing to also wait until it's full. Maybe that would be a better thing. That's south, so just wait until you're full. Because that's the other thing, but doing this too much is not necessarily a good idea, because that can cause a breakdown in the production chain. I've seen that in some of my own playthroughs in a free game, where I would have, for example, a train taking material to a ship and a ship to another train, but then if they wait until full, then the whole chain just starts breaking down. But in this case it's just one link, so it's very simple. And of course vehicles cost less when they're waiting to fill up, instead of running half or more than half empty. Then of course you'll see that their costs will skyrocket. So I think it's worth waiting just a little bit. I'll skip ahead until this train is full because there's nothing else happening right now, and then we can take it from there. And we're off. It took a little while. It's now the end of 1874, so indeed the years are going very fast. But the train is completely full, so I think it's just more profitable this way. A new train, Class 53 Prussian, but I don't think we should think about that at this stage. We can just see how this train performs before we actually spend more money and get an even more expensive one, because of course we have to pay the running costs. The only other thing that happened now while I was waiting was I added some more of the wagons to the Luzerne tools line because it was piling up quite a lot here. Unfortunately, the factory hasn't upgraded at all, so we are only stuck with 100 tools. On the other hand, there's now more or less 12 or 13 people taking the train back and forth. You can see there's 13 waiting there as well. So this is actually becoming a profitable service. There it actually couldn't even take all of the people, so we
Day
might...
and night we dig, blast, dump, but we are still falling behind. We are blatantly behind schedule and have already exceeded the original budget by more than double. The Federal Council has even called an emergency session because of us. We urgently need more powerful drills that don't break constantly. We should build a workshop for that. That would speed up our project tremendously.
Deliver tools to the workshop. The number of tools required is very low, so deploy horse-drawn carts. So obviously they're saying don't use a train for this. And the site of that is right here. Luzerne Machine Factory. So they're complaining that we're not digging fast enough and we need better machines. So yes, let's just build a cheap truck stop here. And add a few carts to this line. This shouldn't take too much. They just need to build the actual factory, and then I don't think they'll need the tools anymore. So I'll just say factory tools, although we can just adjust this line once the tools are no longer needed and we produce machines. So 5 of them, I think that should be enough. We'll leave it automatic. Or 6, that's also fine. Factory tools, and of course it'll take a moment to start producing because again we're only getting 100 tools and it's going to existing places already. But let's have a look at our profitability. That stone train has just dropped off the rubble there. And we see a bit of a mixed picture, but most of the lines are actually profitable. The rubble one is our main source of income in this mission, so they're paying us a lot of money to deliver the stone. Then the train service, the passenger one, is not super profitable, but for the mission it is profitable. Then of course all of our other coaches except the new factory one. There we go. One of them just got a bit of profit and lost it again. Anyway, so the factory tools is the only one because it's new that's not making profit. The rest of them are all bringing us money. Now we just have to wait again. It'll take a while for this train to fill up once more, but as soon as we get the new machines we'll actually be able to dig much faster. For this we only have to take 12 tools as well, so this shouldn't take too long. I'll just skip ahead again until we can finish this factory because I don't need to do anything more right now. Actually, there is one thing that I'm going to do. I'm just going to buy another passenger car for this train. You can see it's already at 16 and we can only carry 12. So it's more profitable than I expected at first. But it's good to do it this way, you know, you don't want empty carriages. Oh, dropped it off too soon there. Oh well. Only a few of them got out. So ideally just have to wait until it's fully empty before sending it to the depot. Oh well. So that's very simple, just one more car. If we need another one, which I doubt, but of course we can just add it then. Let's pick a flashy color for this, maybe like a dark red. That works, you know, like the Swiss flag. I think this is a bit darker, but anyway. Then let's see, tools are piling up here. Mostly to actually go to Luzerne. They really love that route. Might have to stop one of those lines if this factory doesn't get enough. No, there we go. Factory tools, it's piling up there. It just took a little while. It's now 1876, but I've noticed, it's not been very long that we've been playing, but just look at the effect that the routes that we have on the towns. Altdorf has already grown to 103 people and Luzerne is up to 120. So just by connecting up passenger routes, you actually promote growth within the towns, but we've also been delivering the tools, which of course means that since we're supplying some of the goods requirements, the towns are even growing faster. Let's just have a look at Luzerne. Also 86, that's of course very good, so we are certainly growing quickly. We should soon be finished with the factory here. We're already up to 8 tools, but I just noticed there's now already 24 people waiting at Luzerne, so this train needs to be upgraded again. But I'll leave it for now. 18 is not bad. We'll just see if this stays more than the train can handle, then we'll get another passenger wagon. And it should be done any second. Or not. There we go.
Fantastic. The new drills are a blessing. Where earlier 3 machines would break down in just one day, today it's only 1 every 3 days. The Federal Council is very happy. Or, well, maybe not quite as upset.
Well, they're very demanding. They don't get happy very easily. So, thanks to the new drills, the tunnel construction site is producing more stone per tool delivered. So that means the train won't have to wait so long to fill up with stone. So we'll just say outstanding. And now, let's see, does this require... It does actually still require tools, so we can leave that line. We don't actually get machines or anything from this factory, so we can just leave it. It's another source of income for us. And let's just see, 20, it still says that, but here you can clearly see the difference now. One tool gives us 7 units of rubble, so that's very good. And there goes the train already. So we just have to keep up with this mission's time limit. We only have 9 years left, but I think we can do it, especially now that we're actually making good profit. The rubble train is on its way to deliver, so once it does that, it'll also be profitable. But tunnel tools, it's not making much of an impact here. It's because there's so few tools left. I think we might have to cancel one of the routes, like this factory one, because we don't really need anything there, but we do need the tools to go to the tunnel, and this limit is not moving, so I think we need to scrap that one line. Let's do that. Factory tools, I'm sending them all back and I'm scrapping that line. Being a bit too ambitious here, but we have to work with our limited resources, otherwise we'll never dig the tunnel out in time. I think we've now actually reached the point where the train won't have to wait at all anymore. It's already got 71 waiting and the train is almost here, so it'll basically just pick it all up and go back again. Of course, if you're feeling really ambitious, you can double this section of the line as well and actually have 2 trains running the stone to the dump site. But I think for now this will be okay. We just have to keep an eye on the time. But so if it's more pressing, then we can get another train service on here. I think I'm going to be a bit ambitious now, just because I don't want to risk running over time with this mission. So since we now have the class 53 Prussian here, it costs quite a lot of course, but we do have the money. Let's just compare the two. The one that we're using now has 90 kilowatts, this one is 160, and the tractive effort is 3 times more. So if we buy this one, we can have more cars running on that train at once. So then actually we don't need 2 trains to take the rubble. But you can see it's piling up really fast now, so I think it is worthwhile doing that. And of course it makes financial sense because this is our main source of income. So I'll just let this one drop off this stone and then send it back. Not to sell it, just to take it there and exchange the locomotive. Here we go. So this one hasn't served us for very long, but I think we can just get rid of it. First I'll buy the other one though, so the Prussian, and then just take all of these ones down to the new locomotive and sell this one. There we go. So at least we get some of the money back. Then how much do we have? 60. So let's make it at least 100. If we can. I think these stations are the standard length 160 meters, so it might just be that we must stay within that limit. Alright then, 156 meters just for safety I think will do, and we can set it off. At least that will speed it up a little bit. And of course the train is faster as well. 50 and 45, so 5 kilometers an hour. It's not much, but it helps. Let's just make the color the same, and I'll just wait until we make a bit of progress before I continue with you.
The workers live in pigsties, and they have to use their daily wage of 3 francs and 90 centimes to pay not only for their food, accommodation, and equipment, but also for the oil for their lamps. At least they also get a liter of wine every day to get themselves lit, too. Apparently that isn't enough for them. They're blocking the entrance to the tunnel and will only clear the way once they receive 1 franc more per day. What to do? If we don't want to pay that out, we could hire the police from Uri to beat down the leaders. Or we could at least meet them halfway and provide better tunnel ventilation.
So here's where we get this moral choice now of what to do. I think the right thing is just to pay them. I mean, we can hear there how they actually slave away in the tunnel under such bad conditions. They described earlier as well how the air is so thick you can cut it with a knife. So I think the humane thing is to actually do both. Improve the ventilation and increase their pay. But since we can only do one, I think let's just have a look. Better tunnel ventilation will result in 100 units of stone having to be hauled away. So that can help to speed it up, but we only have the one train and I want to keep it that way for now. Anyway, I think the fair thing, since they have to pay for all of those things, pay them.
The time has come. We've broken through. After all the stress, it's a miracle we didn't drop dead in the tunnel before the final cut. Now all we have to do is complete the rail line and our Gotthard Railway will be perfect.
So that didn't take too long. It's 1880 now, so we still have 5 years. This has actually gone quite quick. Complete the rail line from Luzerne to Bellinzona, so we just have to make that final connection. And also, I don't think, well, there's still some stone waiting to be hauled away. But after that, of course, no more will be produced. So we can stop this tools line as well, since it's not going to bring us anything to continue it. Let's just have a look. And that will be tunnel tools. I'm going to send all of these vehicles to be sold. And then after that, scrap that line. The train line, I can let it run for now because there's still a bit of rubble. I just want to double check, do they still accept it? Yes, they do. So hopefully we can still get one payday out of that. Or more than one, since that's more than we can carry. I'll just let it run. Now we must just make this last bit of track. That's very easy. Let's take care of that. So the same advice obviously goes for laying the track here. Just doing it in small sections. There, we don't want another tunnel. Not after we worked the Italians half to death building the first one. Well, there is one thing I can say. This will be a very scenic line. I wish I could take it in real life. Now, I don't think it matters which platform we connect to, so I'll just connect to whichever one is closest. And
the rail line is finished. Now it is time to cover ourselves with the glory that is our due for this marvel. There's nothing standing in the way of the opening ceremony anymore. So let's get going and celebrate.
Send the first train from Luzerne to Bellinzona via Altdorf. Buy a train with passenger coaches, done, and set it on a line that stops in Luzerne, Altdorf and Bellinzona. So it's very good that we already have that service. We only have to add the Bellinzona stop on it now. It's advisable to clear the tracks before the inaugural train's journey. Alright, so just because we still have the rubble one carrying the last bit away. Actually, for that, what I might do is just put a signal right here for when we come back. So it stops there and waits for the rubble train to move. And then we can just put another set of signals right here. So the rubble one should just wait if we are on that bit of track. So then I don't have to double it. And let's see, the next step is this train service, since it stops in Altdorf. Actually, it's the wrong way around. It goes Altdorf, then Luzerne. So after Luzerne, I'll say Altdorf again, and then Bellinzona, and then obviously it will stop at Altdorf again. So it stops at each step along the way. Then we just have to let it run and make the trip. Of course, it has to go back to Luzerne first now, which is always why it's good to have some extra time before the deadline. And this one is also on its last trip, or second last one at least. Definitely made huge profits. Last year alone it made $1.5 million for us. Yes, so there's one more trip left in this train before we sell it. I think for this we can take this journey first person mode and just enjoy the fruits of our labor. I'll of course speed this up so that you don't have to wait too long, but I'll see you on the other side in Italy. And welcome to Italy.
Everyone is rejoicing. The new axis between north and south is open. A masterpiece of engineering. Bravo!
And that's that, all 5 medals again, so you can see this is quite an easy mission, which is also why I thought, let's just do it in one sitting. So it's a bit of a longer video, but obviously the other scenarios I'll split up into several episodes. So that's that, I hope you've enjoyed and thank you for watching. At least we're on a roll with the European campaign, it's taken long enough. So, thank you for watching and see you next time.